Seems like I got to talk to you last Thursday with the by-election results. What would you say how that reflects how you and your government are running Bermuda at this time?
I think that the by-election results, where we were able to narrow the margins in both seats and actually flip one seat from the opposition to the government, is an endorsement of our time in office over the past 11 months. I think what you have seen is that we laid out a plan that we would execute once we're elected into office, and we've been following on that plan, whether it was the pledges of which we made in our 100-day plan or whether or not it was the things that were laid out inside of our throne speech. We have executed on those plans, and I think that the stability of which we've brought to the country, the sense of community of which we brought to the country, the sense that we can work together to solve the problems which are facing Bermuda, I think that that is appreciated by the voters of those constituencies, and I think that was reflected in the results.
Last July, when the election was held, there was a huge swell of vote change, and from there, even now to the work seat, you had another double-digit change. So, do you feel like everyone's catching on to how things are going, and they're going, well, we're very pleased with this?
I would say that I think that by and large people are pleased, but that doesn't negate the significant amount of work that is left to be done and the challenges that the country faces. Our economy still can do much better than it is. The Minister of Education is working diligently on delivering on our promises of public school reform. The Minister of National Security is working diligently on tackling the root causes of crime and violence and making sure that we can address those social challenges. So there's a number of things of which the government continues to address. But I think the results reflect, I guess I would say, an overall satisfaction with the direction that we are leading the country. And that is personally gratifying, but it's also a measure of work that is not only for myself, not only for my cabinet colleagues who sit around this table on a Tuesday, but also for our entire team and those the backbenchers who make sure that we stay online and challenge us every week in caucus, and our Senate team who do an admirable job of advocating for the government's policies in the upper house.
You're closing in on the one-year anniversary of being the government. What would you say are the most significant accomplishments that you've done so far?
Well, I would say that I think the biggest point of pride for myself would have been that the way in which the government has been able to advance the country's fintech ambitions, and coming from a place that was regarded as an afterthought in the area of fintech to now the first country that has passed legislation that will set up a licensing regime for digital asset businesses. I think one of the best compliments that we could have possibly had was from a company in New York, which said that the Bermuda government moves at the speed of a startup. I think that there will be many people that would question that, and certainly that doesn't happen in all areas of government. But the combination of work between the Bermuda Monetary Authority, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of National Security, and private sector partners, whether they be the ones, the law firms, the accounting firms, has gotten us to this point. And I think that it is an incredible accomplishment to go from basically from 1 year not being on the map at all to now being one of the most sought after fintech jurisdictions in the world. So from that perspective, that is without a question a point of pride. But I'm also proud of the work that the Minister of Education has done insofar as making sure that we're having additional investments in education, providing additional training opportunities for Bermudians, the work that's happening in the Ministry of National Security, where we're talking about addressing and tackling the root causes of violence, the work that's being done in the Ministry of Public Works in ensuring that the infrastructure needs are kept up and making sure that we address a lot of the challenges that have been placed. So I think there's a wide area inside of our government, or whether we can talk, I'm sure we'll talk later about the sugar tax. There's lots of points of pride, but I think the ultimate thing is that we are executing on the things which we laid out inside of our platform and our throne speech.